Was everyone there in the last class?
No, Miss, I wasn't.
Gee, who missed it?
Me, Danya.
Danya. Okay. All right. So, Danya, did you get time to look at what we had discussed, or did you watch the video? Because I believe I had uploaded the video.
Miss, I read up till emotions. Sorry, I read up till shame, and then I did the fear, thrill, and everything.
Okay. All right. I think we had discussed up till shame last week.
Okay.
Sorry, in the last class. That was also last week. Let me check if I had uploaded the video, because I upload normally if somebody says that I should upload, and I think that yes, I uploaded the first one here, what shapes myself. I haven't uploaded the second video. I will see if I have it, because I think in one of the classes I forgot to turn the video on. Okay, I believe it. We are recording it today. All right. So if you need to watch the video, you can just go back to online classes here and open the video that you want to watch. Okay. Any question about what we had covered in the last class? I think students had suggested to look at a very interesting video clip on this issue of shame, right? And so I'm just asking if there are any questions about these feelings. They begin with, I believe they begin with joy, with fun over here. And we had completed aggression, anger, shame. All right. So today we'll be discussing fear. Anyone interested in proposing a video clip that relates to this emotion?
Yes, Miss.
Okay, what would that be?
Did I send you the link?
Yes, please share the link. Are you texting?
Yes, Miss. I messaged it. I sent it on the group.
Okay, let me see. I think I haven't received it. Did you send it in chats or on WhatsApp?
What's that?
Okay, let me check WhatsApp.
Miss, this shows both grief and fear.
Can you repeat it, please?
This scene shows both grief and fear.
Okay, both grief and fear. All right, did you get time to read what it says about grief and fear?
Yes, Miss.
Okay, let's. All right. Somehow the audio was too low, but that's okay. Okay, let's go back to it. Okay. Now, would you try explaining what it says here and linking it to the clip that we have just seen? Just make an effort, and we'll do it together.
Yeah, miss. So basically, fear is basically your fight or flight response. And it has, while reading this, I wanted to focus more on creatures because that thing scares me quite a lot. So I wanted to relate it to myself as well. So that's why I chose this scene. And then for the grief one, it says, wait, yeah, it says, you know how it's, the grief can be about anything. It can be about separation or death, or it can be about anything. But this one is more, if you give like context to it, the father lost a kid before these two, so he couldn't do it again. And the mother can't grieve properly as well because she has to take care of her kids. And before this scene, they have another kid as well. Like a new kid is born in these conditions. So for me, it was very chilling, I guess.
All right. I know grief is somewhere here. It says fear, and then after fear, it talks about nightmares, thrill, and
Yeah.
grief is right here. Okay, so uh, do you want to say something about what it says about fear on this page? It says that fear has an important warning function. So I think uh, that we can probably relate it to the father's action, because when he sees that this monster is attacking his children, he has this feeling of warning, because it says fear has an important warning function. And it is at that point that he tries to get attention of this monster, because as a warning function, the father probably realizes that if he does not distract the monster will probably kill his children, right? So
Yeah.
it's probably the fear of losing the children that he decides to scream, and monster leaves his children and attacks the father. Okay, so that's why I'm saying that whatever we read here, we should try relating it to the scene, or to the images in the scene, or to the actions of the characters in the scene. So fear has an important warning function, and it says that it arises immediately in a situation that is judged to be dangerous. So we can say that father judged the situation was dangerous for the children. Okay, and because he judged it's dangerous, the rest of the action followed. Okay, it prompts us to the physical functions as protective mechanisms. So his protective mechanism pushes him to stand up, because this monster had attacked him earlier, and he was lying down on the floor. Okay, he was lying down on the ground, and his physical function is activated because of the fear, and the fear is about the children. So that's the reason he gets up, and when he stands up, he sees that the monster has already reached the car and is about to attack the children, because he has also broken the window of the car, right? In order to defend our boundaries, ourselves, our goals, our basic needs, fear functions as an important emotion, right? So you can say that he is expanding his boundaries out of fear, because it's saying that it expands our boundaries. Okay. Um, Never, what it says, as you try to relate it to your childhood, okay, I believe who was talking, was it Danya? Danya, did you pick up this emotion for discussion?
Yes, miss.
Okay, so I'm saying that it says that fear activates uh, this sort of priming, and it's long lasting. So it's basically saying that it can stay with us for a very long time, especially children. So you said you are relating it to yourself. So did you remember this scene from the past?
Yes, miss.
And how long ago was that?
About when the movie came out, I think it was about for me, it was a year and a half ago.
Uh, Hardly 2 years ago.
Hardly 2 years ago.
Okay, all right. So it's just saying that this stimulus stays there in the mind, and sometimes these experiences can be very traumatic. So it's just about the situations that raises this experience or experience of threat or danger. Okay, so it says that the children uh, can be thinking about creatures, they can be thinking about dangerous situations or real dangerous or serious physical injuries. So do you think that this scene that you selected was actually pointing to all of these four scenarios, that it had a creature that was dangerous, it created a situation that was dangerous, and real danger was created, and serious physical injuries were experienced, or there was a threat of serious physical injuries to the characters?
Yes, miss. All of them.
All of them. Okay. So, uh, so it says it's the fear of a creature that can cause harm to others. So in this case, it was the fear of the creature, and the father felt it would cause harm to the children. The creature looked scary, and it means its appearance was different from what we consider normal. Do you know the name of this character that was attacking the children in the scene?
No, miss, but they basically they prey on sound, so they can't see, but they just when they hear a sound, they come.
Okay, but did they give this creature, this monster, a name in the film? Um no name?
Yes, let me just see. I don't think they gave a name.
Okay. So, okay, for the purpose of discussion, we can call it a monster. So, which means uh, it's the fear. It says characters which give children security, like parents, nannies, cuddly toys, etc., should not be associated with fear. Okay, so basically, uh, which means that if we start associating a parent to creation of fear, it will be difficult for children to believe in parents. So basically, it is proposing that in television program making or in filmmaking, we should avoid making this type of characters, parents or cuddly toys, fearful. Can you recall a film that was showing a toy as scary?
Um,
Miss Child's Play.
Child's play. So it means that if we associate uh, these important characters to uh, to this feeling of fear, uh, it will be worse because trauma will be far greater. let's go back to it. All right, so dangerous situations where characters face a threat, like fight scenes, chases, or scenes where someone is trapped. So in the first one, we actually see fight scenes, right? Fight scenes, chases. And in the second one, we see somebody trapped. And I think, in fact, in both, we see that these people are trapped. So dangerous situations actually show characters trapped. Okay, so fear actually increases. The more desperate a situation or the character seems to be, the greater. More dangerous a character seems to be, the greater the fear. So I think this situation actually presents a character that seems more dangerous. So it would probably create a lot of fear, especially in the darkness of the theater. Okay. Uh, in about real danger, it says it causes fear because children get aware of possible risks for their own lives. I think in this second scene, this child seems a bit confident through his behavior. But in the earlier one, we did see that children uh, get aware of possible risks for their own lives. That's why the children are rushing and running and getting under the car or inside the car. So children do know in both the scenes that there is a threat of their threat to their own lives and safety. Okay, and fear rises because you can see cruelty that can be done to living beings. We do see that in the first one, the father is being attacked and the monster is behaving very cruelly to the four characters. And in the second one, we can also see that this toy, uh, she actually puts this dagger on his chest, and she also hits the boy with this dagger, and apparently he becomes unconscious. Okay, so it just says that the fear can be because of the threat of the injury, and these things have long lasting impact on children and should not be shown to children. I mean, this is the opinion of the authors, because authors do feel that these traumatic effects last with children forever. Okay, so uh,
मैम
you said,
नाइटमेयर्स में भी यही नहीं बताया गया?
जी जी, नाइटमेयर्स में भी यही बताया गया है। ये इसमें से लेट्स गो टू नाइटमेयर्स। आई थिंक ये यहाँ पे वी जस्ट क्लोज इट फर्स्ट. So sometimes television dramas actually show a combination of things together, like you yourself has mentioned that fear and grief are present together in the same scene. And I believe that you mentioned grief because you were talking about uh, I believe the father died in that scene. Did he?
Yes, miss.
Okay. So which means that fear and grief combine in the scene that we saw first. Okay. So a cruel creature torturing its victim in a hopeless situation. So we can say that when this monster was attacking the family, it was a hopeless situation and it was a frightening situation. And it's here it's only saying that if the background of a situation is neutral, it will be less scary. But if the background is not neutral, it will be more scary. So we can compare the backgrounds here, right? Because this scene is happening inside a factory where I think they are producing replicas of this character. Are they? Right? So you can see that this is a different kind of background than the background that we actually noticed in this scene.
Silence has never been scarier.
Right? So this scene provides a different background. I think they may be were they touring some different place, or I believe they are not in their own home while this is happening. So this background is different from the background in the next one, right? So it just says that neutral background would make it look less scary as opposed to such specific backgrounds, because background can actually intensify the feeling of fear. All right, and on top of it you can compare music, sound, and camera work and lighting in the two situations. In this one I think it apparently looks like normal lighting at this stage, and in the other one you can see that
Silence has never
it's a night scene, so apparently different kind of lighting is used here, and it's not a set, it's a proper landscape sort of situation. So he's saying that music, sound, and camera work and lighting also have strong impact in developing these feelings of fear. uh, okay, so let's see grief and then we go back to what Jahangir just mentioned. We first see grief because you mentioned that that particular scene showed both grief and fear. It says that grief is more associated with loss or separation or death, right? So in the first one, we did see that children lose their father. Okay, so grief is there, and before he before he distracts the monster, he uses different kind of gestures to tell his children or his family that he loves them, and he always has loved them, right? So at that moment, both the wife and children know what he's going to do, and you could see that fear in their faces, that when they know that they also know that this is perhaps unavoidable. The mother knows that she cannot do the same thing herself, because in that case the monster will not leave the children, and at that point the monster was actually attacking the children and the family. So
His mother isn't there in the scene with them. She's in a separate place.
oh,
So
she's
she
in a
doesn't.
separate place. So in that scene we only see the children. Is that just the children and the father in that scene?
Yes, miss.
Okay. All right. So children and father in that scene, we can see a part of ourselves is lost, is emphasized here. It says we need to adapt to the change situation. So we can see that children and later the mother also adapted to the change situation, because change situation actually implies to loss of father. Grief helps to heal the wounds and finds ways to be whole again, which just means whole only means, in the earlier part of this reading, uh, we did see here that happiness actually expands you. Can you see these little circles here, that happiness expands you? So you can see a big circle besides a small circle, and a small circle appears besides this one, and in case of grief we can see a part is torn away right here, right? So grief actually hurts the boundaries, and because the boundaries are hurt, we can see that a part is lost. Okay, uh, and it only means that the person who feels or goes through this feeling of loss tries to stick to the lost person or item, which means that this feeling will remain with them for a very long time. um, okay, so
And this, we can also see that the children don't grieve properly because they can't. You know, when the father, when he gets killed, we can see the little kid pull the handbrakes, like the car goes, as well. So it's there, like they're also adapting to the situation, as in they're fleeing from it. They can't properly express themselves, like they can't really grieve properly.
Okay. All right. So I can understand, it probably the scene refers to handling the situation or management of the situation, because in certain places in this article, it does say that we have to teach them how to handle their emotions. So you are probably referring to handling of the emotions because does the child drive the car at that point?
Yes, miss.
Okay. So while this monster is attacking the father, the child pushes the button and the car actually moves away from there, right? So we can see that in this change situation, you're right that children have adapted to the change situation. They have adapted to the loss of their father, but they know they have the father is telling them, "I love you. I have always loved you." So grief helps to heal the wounds and find ways to be whole again. So I think if the children have felt this loss, rest of the film probably will show some sort of development or healing of the wound, right? Even though loss and grief are subjectively unpleasant feelings, of course these are unpleasant feelings, they are appropriate, they are the appropriate response to the situation and important for dealing with it. So you can see that they use they act in a certain way, and that way is appropriate for handling the situation, which you can see that the child pushes the button and drives away the car, right? It only says that death and birth are very important, and at an early age, children face this experience because these are there in their environment. It is therefore important for children to engage with and reflect on this topic. So we can use TV actually uh, to teach them how to face the situations or how to face death, etc. Okay. I think if you here they have mentioned a specific television program. I wonder if it's a German TV program because this article is German, and it says that in this TV show, Adrian, without any superfluous words, children. The child is taught how to handle the death of his pet, and he through affectionate actions, which means that let's try seeing what it shows about Adrian here.
Ik heb een heel lief hondje, Stippy is zijn naam. En als ik 's morgens wakker word, komt Stippy naast me staan. En geeft me dan een likje, en geeft me dan een poot. Vanmorgen toen ik wakker werd, was Stippy op mijn stoot. Stippy, waar ben je nou gebleven? Waar ben je heen gegaan? Er zijn dan echt geen bordje meer, zit jij soms op de maan? Waar ben je nou gebleven? Waar ben je heen gegaan? Stippy, zal ik je even uitlaten? Kom hier nu naast me staan. Waf! Ik ben Adriaan, mijn hond is doodgegaan. Hij heet Stippy.
Heeft hij geleden? Dat is een oude hond.
Wat is geleden?
Of hij pijn heeft gehad.
Nee, pap.
Hij is zachtjes weggegleden. Wat wil een mens nog meer?
Het is geen mens, het is een hond. Heb je nou geen op meer? Wel, hij ligt thuis. Maar hij is toch dood? Als hij dood is, dan heb je ook geen op meer.
Teun, hou je mond en helpen.
Mag ik je dode hond zien? Hier, pak aan. Goed vasthouden. Niet om een duim slaan als ik je hond mag zien. Nee. Ik had er eerst 2. Maar de moeder is dood gegaan. Heb je die begraven? Was dat je lievelingskavia? Oké, je mag mijn hond wel zien, maar niet aanraken.
All right. So you may have realized that they are making a coffin for the dog. Adrian's dog that has died, and Adrian is there to get a coffin for the dog. So all it is saying that you can teach the child how to handle death by getting him engaged in some sort of activity that deals with management of the situation. When he is there, he meets this other boy who is the child of the person who is making the coffin. And then the two kids talk about the death of the dog, and the other kid also tells him about his experience, and both of them try to make it together as well, because the father tells his son to help him in making that coffin. Okay, so it just says that that how we can teach children about handling or managing grief. In the earlier scene that you had selected, I would say this scene that was there in the jungle, we can see that that probably the child was aware how to manage the situation, because the way the father is dealing with his children, he had told him, or they had prepared him to adapt to situations perhaps at an earlier stage, because we can see that in both situations the children are trying to adapt with the situations, and they are learning how to handle the feeling of grief. Okay, all right. Ji Jahangir, what were you saying about nightmares? Can you suggest a scene that relates to nightmare?
मैम वही सीन जो वो था ना खिलौने वाला, वही इससे रिलेट करता है कि चिल्ड्रन जो मतलब बच्चे जब इसे देखते हैं तो फिर वो भूलते नहीं है ऐसे सीन्स को, फिर उन्हें ऐसी चीजों से हमेशा के लिए खौफ रहता है जब वो उन चीजों को दोबारा देखते हैं, जिस तरह की चीजें वो देख लें।
Okay.
वो एक चीज उनके जहन में रह जाती है।
All right. So you are talking about this scene? Are you talking about this scene?
Yes, ma'am.
But this is not a nightmare, is it? This is not.
मैम ये तो नहीं, लेकिन मतलब जब ऐसे सीन्स देखेंगे, जब इस तरह खिलौनों से फिर उन्हें मतलब एक डर तो रहता है ना, उसी को मेरे ख्याल से मुझे तो यही थोड़ी बहुत समझ आई कि वही चीज लिखी हुई है कि this can become a traumatic experience. They often experience feeling of powerlessness, helplessness, horror and intense fear. तो मतलब वो उन्हें फेयर तो एक उनके अंदर रह गया ना उस चीज से। जैसे अगर इसमें अब एक डॉल दिखाई गई है तो वो उससे जब भी उस तरह की कोई चीज देखेंगे तो उन्हें फिर वो सीन याद आएगा, उससे फिर उन्हें खौफ आएगा और उसमें वो अपनी कोई वो नहीं कर सकते ना, मतलब वो उनकी एक पावर से ही बाहर है बात कि वो उस पे कैसे ओवरकम करें.
All right. So you are talking about the viewer. You are not about the kids in a situation, right? Because
Yes, ma'am.
yes, you are talking about viewers. All right. It just says that if children witness, because the first 2-3 scenes that we have seen so far, we were talking about characters inside the scene. Right now, Jahangir is not talking about characters inside the scene, but the viewers outside. And he says that if children witness events on TV, for example, if children see this scene, they can have or experience its fear or trauma even later, and children can have nightmares later, right? So it's only saying that it becomes a traumatic experience. Jahangir, try relating these lines with the scene that we just saw here. Try creating a link between the image and the text.
मैम मैंने तो ये बताया है कि जिस तरह वो जो चीज लिखी हुई वो इससे रिलेट तो मेरे पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से तो कर रही है कि अब इसमें जो वो खिलौना उन्होंने दिखाया है वो उसके साथ मतलब उसे खौफ है और वो उसे नुकसान पहुंचा रहा है, तो यही चीज फिर वो बच्चे के माइंड में बिल्ड हो जाएगी कि ये इस चीज में ऐसी पावर आ सकती है, मतलब एक वो बन जाएगी, उसकी परसेप्शन तो बन जाएगी ना कि जो चीज उसने विटनेस की है कि मूवी में ऐसा हुआ था तो मे बी रियल लाइफ में भी ऐसा हो सकता है.
Right. So the words would be that in the movie, और मूवी का नाम है Child's Play 2. तो आप ये कहेंगे कि in Child's Play 2, the viewer or the child watched के जो characters हैं, they were going through feelings of powerlessness, helplessness, horror, and intense fear. So this kind of feelings can last with the viewer or the viewing child. He would also feel powerless, helpless, and he'll be horrified like the protagonist inside the film. Because we are always talking about that darkness of theater creates one-to-one relationship between the viewer and the screen, which means the viewer always feels that he is one of the character inside the film. Darkness of the theater actually takes the viewer inside the film, and viewer becomes part of the diegesis, right? So nightmares are only attempts to cope with the emotional state of emergency, which means here an emergency is created, right? So if the kid has similar feelings, or if a viewer has a nightmare of a situation like this, he's trying to cope with this emergency. Okay, so it only says that children of age group 6 to 8 can be strongly influenced by this kind of situations. Apart from it, that the ages can vary for different viewers. It says that what humans or creatures can do to each other, horrible humans and creatures, what they can look like, and situations that one can end up in. So the viewer will be actually stuck with these questions about human and creature relationship, human-human relationship, in case humans are actually quite scary. And this is like, as I said, the method of research was drawing. And we did discuss that they wrote this article after collecting data from about 1,500 children. And in certain cases, they had collected data from 5,000 children, and that data included drawings by children. So you can see this is Adrian's drawing after watching this scene on TV, right? So these two images on the right hand side do actually see the real image and the image of fear created by the child. All right, so can anybody suggest a scene that points to thrill or thrilling action on screen in a TV show or a film?
मैम ये मैंने एक लिंक भेजा है चैट में, ये देखे तो रिलेट करता है इससे थ्रिलिंग सीन से क्या?
ऑल राइट, आपने यहाँ पे चैट में भेजा है.
जी
लेट
मैम.
मी. ओके, लेट मी. ऑल राइट, लेट्स ट्राई.
मैम ये मैट्रिक्स मूवी का है जो कि पुरानी है, तो उसमें उसका ये
कितना आगे कर दूं?
और ले जाए, मिड में ले जाए तो.
We do see a lot of stylized action in this scene. Let me. That's what I meant by stylized action. I don't know how, if you know, even if it is real or not real. That's a separate question, but you can see that in this one we see a lot of stylized action. It says pleasant suspense, so you can also talk about some sort of you know, visits to important places, where there can be a lot of thrilling action, and it is talking about both excitement that occurs during a situation like this. Whatever action is taking place right here can be very exciting for the viewer, and it just says that during thrill you feel that boundaries are not violated, right? Because when we were looking at this image here, we did see that in case of happiness, boundaries expanded, and in case of grief, boundaries were split, and the feeling of loss was different. And in case of fear and anger, we also see what is happening to the boundaries in these two drawings, right? So in case of thrill, it's only saying that we do not go through this, we do not experience violation of boundaries. You know, in case of happiness, boundaries are expanded. In case of fear or grief, in case of grief, boundaries are violated. But in case of thrill, boundaries are not violated, right? Because being aware of that situation will end up, you know, possibility of joy and thrilling moments. So if you know that people, if they, you may have seen that there is this place in Lahore called Joyland, and in Joyland you have different kind of rides. Some people take those rides for pleasure, some people take those rides, but while taking the rides they keep on screaming, you know. So that is what it means, that the experience is quite thrilling, and but boundaries are not expanded, boundaries are not violated during the experience of a thrilling action. Okay, is everyone familiar with this place, Joyland? I think it was somewhere near Jallo Park, and I
Yes,
think
it's in Fortress.
okay, so Joyland is in Fortress. They also have different rides there. There is some place opposite Jallo Park also. I can't recall its name. I think they also have a number of rides there. But what I meant, that this kind of thrilling action can be very joyful. People experience excitement, they experience danger, but they have this feeling that boundaries will not be violated and they will be fine. Even still, they try to experience the thrilling action. Okay, So it just says that a feeling of pleasure is experienced while children are watching exciting scenes. Okay. And the confidence of the protagonist, which means confident heroes and heroines. Children do develop relationship with the characters, and these characters kind of perform as models in their lives. So this association helps them in developing their own strength for handling or managing different kind of situations. Or children enjoy when villains look ridiculous, or like comic book style treatment is also quite interesting for them in many cases. Okay, I believe that we have covered almost all emotions here. Just in terms of grief, they also mention suicide. So let's, I think, just finish suicide and then we can go to the next reading. Okay, so it says that the suicide is most common cause of death among adolescents. So that is the only reason they have added suicide to the list of emotions for children. Any comments on this thing? Because they haven't avoided death from children's emotion list, and they have added suicide to the list of children's emotions as well. Any scene that you can mention in particular? G, any scene? Any suggestion of a scene? No scene?
Miss, in the video I shared, could the father sacrificing himself be a form of suicide?
Okay. Yes, I think you can say that father's action is suicidal. You can say that it is, because but this suicidal action, because he's trying to attract attention of the monster, it's a suicidal attempt. But this is not very similar to what in many cases suicide implies. His action is suicidal in a way, yes. So it says one that yes.
I've sent a link in the chat. Like, there's a movie, Dead Poet Society, and there's a scene in it about suicide.
Okay, let me check. I think probably something is missing. Let me copy it again. Did you share the complete link? It's ending at 8611. 8611, is there another digit after 8611?
No, miss, I think I've shared the complete link.
It's not opening it.
Miss, can I send you the title?
Yes, please send the title.
Miss, I've sent it.
Okay, let me try it again. Okay, so which one is this?
Miss, it's the top one. Miss, you just click on the I understand and wish to proceed, then it will play. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So it says it's very common among adolescents, and we can see that Neil is an adolescent, right? So it says that it's important for children and youth television because every death, suicide is associated with pain and grief. And in the last part, we do see that it does show that both parents are actually we can see pain and grief of both the parents here. Okay. In the last part, so we can see that it is associated with pain and grief. You can see it in his father's action, and when his mother comes there, it is just they are just trying to console each other. So suicide is associated with pain and grief for the ones left behind, right? So the parents are those who are left behind. Pain and grief of parents is clearly shown in the scene. So that's why this article insists that suicide should be shown with honesty, appropriate honesty, and I believe that the scene that we have seen is honestly showing what actually happened. It takes a lot of time to render what Neil is going through. Like here, you can see his shadow on the wall when he is crossing here. You can see, you do not see the character, you only see the shadow in the background on the wall. So his you may have noticed, it begins with Neil's shadow on the wall, so specific, and then Neil enters the scene, right? So you first see the shadow, then you see Neil, and Neil, when he opens this window, he's looking outside, right? So his body posture and the lighting on his body does show what something serious is going to happen. He's lifting up this, you know, this little prop that was added to the scene. He lifts it up and places on his head like a crown, and then you get a close up of Neil. It does not show, you can see his face expression is not reflective of happiness or joy. You can clearly see that something is wrong, something is pretty serious with this character and in all his actions, and now he has closed his eyes, right? So something pretty serious, and then he's looking down. So you can describe his emotion in this part, like what he's going through. And in the rest of the video, you can see a lot of close-ups, like of the doorknob, and then of his feet. And you see that half of the frame is dark. And in half of the frame, you see Neil leaving his room and walking to his father's room. You see his feet, and you also see the shadow underneath, right? So all this lighting is actually enhancing the gravity of the situation. So you can clearly understand that the lighting effect is not neutral. And then you also see this silhouette kind of thing. And half of or more of most of the frame is dark. And when he's going down, I think this is from the stairs, you first see this shadow enter the frame, like you can see that Neil, let's see from here. Now Neil is going down the stairs, and the lighting is not showing him as real, rather it's focusing on creating a silhouette kind of thing. You see on the left and right on top, most of it is dark, and this lighting is right in the middle. So the objective is not to show what he looks in real life, but objective is on showing silhouette of his body frame. And he's not wearing anything, like top. He's not wearing a shirt or t-shirt kind of thing. So you can see this silhouette is actually emphasized in terms of treatment. So it's actually only adding to the gravity of situation. See? So the way he was right here, he's moving from top of the frame. See, his you are looking only at the shoulders here, and this shoulder is taking left side of the whole frame. And towards the end, right here, when he goes out of the frame, you only see he disappears right here at the bottom, right? So from the top of the frame to this part, his image is going down from top to the bottom, right? His head was right here on the top, and by the time the frame is not moving, camera is not moving, only the character is moving. From here, he's moving, camera is not moving, right? I said character moves from top of the frame to the lower right or bottom of the frame. So you can see that this treatment is only used to emphasize his action, and from here until here, the action or the gravity of action is only increasing. So viewer would actually would get prepared for what's going to happen this point onwards. Okay, so you can actually that's how you can talk about lighting and sound and treatment, like what kind of production design the director has used. This music, if used, pleasant. So what it says here is that it is one of the most common causes of death among adolescents, right? So children are supposed to live for a long time, and if suicide rate is higher among the adolescents, then it's important to understand why it is so, and it also important to make children understand. So they are saying that suicide cannot be removed from children television, because you should be talking about good things or for teaching to children or showing to children. He says, like every death, suicide is associated with pain of those who are left behind. At the same time, it's a special case. It's a special case because it is not normal death. Okay. There are clear indications that the number of acts or thoughts of suicide increases after news coverage or fictional accounts of suicide. Because if you just write on Google celebrity suicide, right, you would come across a number of articles on celebrity suicide sort of thing, right? Celebrities are insane is a video. If I say I meant celebrity suicide, if you write celebrity suicide, you will find all of these readings. These are different researches on celebrity suicide and effects of celebrity suicide. Qualitative analysis and quantitative analysis, all kind of researches are published here. And I believe that a student is actually writing her MPhil thesis on celebrity suicide on Bollywood films. It would be presented, I think, next week because she has a Viva next week. So you can understand that the article is saying that when celebrity suicide is covered in news media, it has a stronger impact on children, and in many countries across the world. Uh, for instance, in Japan, suicide rate among adolescents increased after suicide of one of their celebrities. I think that was from music industry. So they felt that there is a strong connection between news coverage of celebrity suicide and increase of suicide rate in the city or in the country. So they feel that it's important to cover it in children television, and children be prepared, and they can be taught. Quality programs for children and adolescents should always be life affirming. So we can teach children that life is important. Uh, so it is only suggesting that suicide should not be presented as a solution to the problems. Like, for instance, in this scene, when Neil ends his life, he probably is thinking that this is the solution to his problems, right? Neil is definitely not thinking about people who are left behind. He's not worried about people who are left behind. So he is thinking about suicide as a solution to his own problem. So it is just saying that it should not be presented as a solution to one's problems. You should not create models through suicide. That is another suggestion by this article, that Neil should not become a model in the eyes of the viewers who like seeing Neil's performances if he was a musician, for example, or a singer. As I mentioned, that celebrity suicide impacts the viewer. And it also says that please not romanticize suicide. So we can clearly see that at least this scene is not romanticizing suicide. So if we change the lighting or effect, or if the presentation is different, and if we romanticize suicide, people will become, or children will become interested in suicide, and perhaps the rate of suicide increase among adolescents. And there would be a tendency of blaming the survivors. Like if people start saying that Neil committed suicide because of his parents, right? So you can say that it will be very hard for the parents to cope up with the situation, or to go through this kind of blame. So it is only saying that no blaming of survivors in case of suicide, because the one is gone and the others cannot be blamed after him. So any questions on this reading or any comments on this reading? There was so okay. I think I think this drawing is very interesting, because it's only talking about handling of emotions as a team, right? And I think there were a couple of animation films a few years back, perhaps almost a decade back. You may have been very young at the time, and those animation films actually emphasized importance of teamwork in ants' lives. I can't recall name of the film, but I do remember a character from one of those films. And Flick the Ant, I don't know if I can find it. Flick the Ant. Let's see what Flick is. A Bug's Life. So film is A Bug's Life from 1998. Let's see what is happening here.
Around the leaf? I don't think we can do it. Great! There you go! There you go! Watch my eyes.
Oh my, there's quite a gap, Mr. Soil. Shouldn't we tell the Queen?
I don't think we need to.
Winds died down. They'll be here soon.
Just be
Ben, we just lost a few inches, that's all.
Right.
Hey, Anna, now what do we do?
Oh, don't tell me. I know it. I know.
Eat, they leave. That's our lot in life. It's not a lot, but it's our life.
Hey, come back here!
Okay, so somehow sound is very poor here. Can you hear when I played? Did you hear? All right. So it is saying that emotional intelligence is very important, and I think it was a very interesting film. It had it's more than one. So you can see, you can probably watch the series, and it was a very popular film, and that's why I said that I remember the protagonist, who was originally not very inspiring, but later when these ants send in a problem, he actually finds a solution to the problem. So it's important to be aware of one's emotions, and emotional situations are different when together in a team, so management would be better, and connecting and disconnecting to emotions is important. So inspiration from new experiences, so we can only see that these programs can be very inspirational for children. Okay, no comments? Any comments? Let's try reading it very, very quickly. It's a very short article. So any comments on emotions? Because this one is talking about humor in particular. G. Laiba, Komal, anyone? Any comments on G? All right, it says false alarm theory. How humor acts or humorous ads work. Okay, so it says that humor tickles us and makes us laugh. And research shows that humorous ads can grab attention. And if they are well executed, then the liking for the ad liking for the ad washes over onto the advertised brand, you know. So they have just depicted this situation here. You can see this dog or fox, whatever, is attacking a rabbit, and in the second frame you see rabbit is fine, rabbit is sitting there, and underneath you can read incongruous or incongruity humor. So any idea what incongruous means here? What is meant by incongruity in this situation? So one frame exposes us to a dangerous situation, and the frame two frees us from the impact of danger. So what just happened?
Miss, I think that here incongruity perhaps means that they're not, the scenes aren't going in accordance with what the audience would expect it to go in, you know?
Right, precisely. It clearly says that incongruous in the sense deviation from expectation, right? So audience were expecting that rabbit will probably die. So audience or viewer or child viewer is worried about the safety of the rabbit. But at the same time, it means that an alarm goes on in the minds of the viewer. Viewer can hear the alarm, it's an alarming situation. That's why he's talking about alarm, right? So the minute you learn that it was a false alarm, the author is Max Sutherland, okay? So Max Sutherland is actually talking about false alarm theory. And by incongruity of situation, he means that you feel or you think that it's a dangerous situation, you are worried, but in the very next frame, you learn the alarm was wrong or the alarm was false, right? So that's how he ended up with false alarm theory, that you heard an intruder alarm, you had a feeling of fear, fright, and flight. You're not running away yourself. Rabbit does not run away. In fact, you see the skeleton of the attacker in the next frame. So what you actually come across is a surprising, is an element of surprise in the second frame. Okay, so this deviation of expectation is called incongruity, incongruous humor, and ads tickle us and make us laugh because of this incongruity. They grab attention, and it really depends how people advertise their brands, and if they do it well, it will have an impact. Here Max Sutherland is referring to E.B. Whitey's prediction that in the first frame, so if you try explaining, you would say that in the first frame you predicted danger, right? And in the second frame, that danger is gone. That feeling of danger is gone. So you can actually dissect humor. You can look at anatomy of humor and functions of humor. So humor actually survives on cancellation of a feeling that the first frame transfers to you. In the first frame you predicted, or the first frame, in the first frame, by looking at first frame, you interpreted danger. The second frame cancelled that feeling of danger. Okay, so this incongruity is surprising, right? And that's why he's talking about surprising theory, and he says that it is not at all, not entirely intuitive, but it is kind of evolutionary in many manners, and that's how even if it is short, you see a beginning and a middle part and ending. So basically, you are talking about complete story that has a proper beginning, middle part, and ending. And in case of humor, the duration of the event is very short, right? For example, if you were looking at Tom and Jerry, you would see that events are changing pretty fast. They are changing from one situation to another, and the speed of change of events is very fast, and that's how. Okay, let's try see what I mean by events and change of situation. Okay, so I think it was not one of the best of Tom and Jerry series, but it does show that predictions were constantly changing. The prediction from one frame to another frame was changing. In one frame, you were looking at danger, and in the other frame, you saw complete change of the situation. So meaning change and interpretation of the event also change. And in case of something of this kind, you see that events are constantly changing. So this is one event. this is another, like close up in the same event. Okay, so one event ended there, and now this is event 2. So you can see that first event hardly lasted. It was shorter than 25. It was about 25 seconds long. Right now, in most in animation film, the event is very short. In normal films, you will probably see a scene of 1 minute duration, but let's see what is the second event. So this this event ended here. This was even shorter. I think it hardly lasted 5 seconds. And nobody expects that this will happen to Jerry here, because Tom gets into the hole. Sorry, Jerry gets into the hole, and this is what happens to Tom when he follows Jerry. When Tom follows Jerry. And now he is attacking this little canary. So event 3 by the end of before 40 seconds ends, which means this is also hardly 5 to 7 seconds of duration. See that another event ended here. So frequency of events is even faster in animation films than in normal life humor. Like if you were watching a comedy with humans in it, so duration of humor-based events will be probably longer. In this case, in case of animation film, we are seeing that every event is, like events are ending quite fast. They are hardly 5 to 7 seconds long. Let's see the next one. All right, so different, perhaps they are 5 seconds to 1 minute long maximum, like some of the events were pretty short. And this last one was, I think, it lasted more than 30 seconds. So we can see that these do show what these things, these events actually do not fulfill the expectation. What do you predict? Something quite unsimilar to prediction happens. Okay. All right. So it says that incongruity is deviation from expectation, and that is what an uncertain situation is created, and by the time that uncertainty is resolved, we feel happy, or we laugh at when that uncertainty is resolved. So basically all of these have a middle part, a beginning, and an ending. And I said that in the situations that we just saw, those 3 things were completed in durations of 5 seconds to 30 seconds when we were looking at the animation films. So these solutions are pretty fast, and when they continue happening in a series, the viewer actually has a long experience of happiness. It says that incongruous humor leads us to the garden path of interpretation only to undermine it and force us into reinterpretation, which means that you are looking at danger at one part, and that's how you interpret frame 1. And when you reinterpret it, after looking at frame 2, that feeling of danger or uncertainty is completely gone. So interpretation and reinterpretation are very important when we are talking about humor. So interpret frame 1 and reinterpret the situation after looking at frame 2. And then you actually learn that these frames actually offer manipulation of a situation, right? So in frame 1, it was danger, and in frame 2, the situation was manipulated in some manner. Or in Tom and Jerry's case, whatever happens once, the situation is manipulated in the second part, right? For example, the situation is manipulated when when the canary uh, locks Tom in the cage, right? So we were talking about manipulation of situation here, right? So this is manipulation of the situation. So these two type of frames, we interpret danger for the canary, and when as Tom attacks the canary gets out of the cage, and Tom, because he was attacking the canary while he was inside the cage, Tom himself gets into the cage, and canary brings this lower part here and locks him inside. So you are saying that these two events or these two frames together offer a situation which is smartly manipulated. And in this kind of manipulation, you end up with, oh, that kind of thing. So this happened. So this feeling of is something that makes you laugh. It says that in a particular TV commercial, which was a DHL ad, you see a bird pecking on a telephone set, and you think, stupid bird, he is pecking the numbers of phone, but a minute later you see a DHL courier coming in, and when he enters the room, you see a sleeping cat with a note stuck on her bag that says ready for delivery, and the DHL guy picks up the cat. So what you basically learn, that the bird was not a dumb bird. He was actually using telephone to send away this cat, right? So I said, this is just the description of DHL TV commercial, and it says that a random pecking by a dumb bird at a telephone turns out to be a cunning manipulation that successfully disposes of the cat. So here is cunning manipulation, where the dog or the fox, whatever it is disposed. And in this case, cunning manipulation, where the bird gets rid of the cat, and in Tom and Jerry, where canary actually gets rid of Tom by locking Tom inside the cage, right? So I'm saying that you can also look at duration of the events, because in Tom and Jerry, events are changing at a pretty fast pace. For instance, this event was hardly 5 to 7 seconds long, and this one also was hardly 5 to 7 seconds long. Okay, and the next one was slightly longer. This is a bit longer. I think it lasted perhaps more than 30 seconds. So our mind is constantly interpreting and reinterpreting shots, which means this is one shot, this is another shot, and this is another shot, because a scene has a number of shots in it, and when you put these shots together, you create a scene. Okay. So all I meant that by in a shot you have this frame. Frame is just right. So I think those from TFT already know that on television we have in Pakistani TV we have 25 frames per second, and because we are watching 25 frames every second, we get this impact of motion. That's why it looks like a moving image. So you can see that if we have selected this frame and this frame for discussion, we can interpret these two frames differently, and both of these frames show how a situation was manipulated. So humor actually offers the surprise through manipulation of the situation. Okay. Any questions so far? All right. It says a bird pecking is naturally interpreted as mistake. Is interpreted as a mistake because the phone is no food, right? So the garden path here is the stupid bird, right? But manipulation of the situation is that the bird got rid of the cat. Okay, so that's how we end up in this feeling. Aha, the bird was dialing, not just petting. नवीद मेरी क्लास हो रही है, मैं क्लास के बाद कॉल करती हूँ, 3 घंटे की क्लास है. ओके, थैंक यू जी. Sorry, that was a call from University IT department, and by mistake I had left the ringer on. Okay, so it says that humor जो है, it takes you out of this feeling. It takes you onto a garden path of surprise, whereby you interpret, reinterpret, and you learn that this bird actually, or this rabbit actually had cunning human-like intelligence, or even Jerry had cunning human-like intelligence, or Tom had, the canary also had human-like intelligence for handling this situation. So this element is quite surprising. In this image on the right side, you see a technicolor or a multicolor dog. So when you see something like this, it triggers an intruder alarm in mind, because you know for sure that this doesn't look normal. This feeling of abnormal actually creates this humor or intruder alarm, and this intruder alarm is what I said is called false alarm, and it needs cancellation, okay, and reinterpretation, and because which would surprise you, like surprise or any departure from expectation can be monitored through the amplitude of brain waves. So it's just saying that it is affecting the cognition. Multicolor or technicolor dog turns on the intruder alarm in mind. We find it, we feel that something is not right here. Or in normal course of events, this kind of humor needs a resolution of the ambiguous situations or anomaly that is difficult to understand. So normally what it means that when we are interpreting frame 1 or frame 2, our mind has some sort of template for interpreting situations. So it is saying that brain automatically uses that template and matches the images that we see, and if the images look normal, we are not we don't get alert. Our brain does not use the autopilot function or think that something looks abnormal here. If things do not match, in that case the brain thinks that something is terribly wrong, and that wrong is the cause behind putting on the intruder alarm. It says that humor triggers attention via the same mechanism, right? Which means if the brain is not matching things as normal, So, and then we interpret one image against another, which means the images juxtapose each other. In film language, we use these two words like juxtaposition of frames. In terms of in Tom and Jerry, we do not have, we most of the times do not have dialogues, right? Very rarely we come across dialogues in this kind of thing, so we cannot say that it is juxtaposition of one dialogue to another, but it is definitely juxtaposition of images, right? So we see this image. This image is juxtaposed to another image, right? So these juxtapositions are actually creating humor, right? So you can say that these images juxtapose each other, like you can see, right? The scenes that we saw earlier, we were looking at close-ups and mid shots and wide shots and long shots. Apparently, the animation film is mostly using long shots of characters, you know, because in what we saw here, we were mostly looking at complete characters. We were not just looking at Jerry's face or the canary's face. In most of these shots, we are looking at more or less full characters. Okay, you can see that wherever I have clicked so far, we are seeing complete characters. This is not full. We are just seeing Tom's, you know, like this is slightly bigger than mid shot. So, okay, so kind of long shot, and this is wider because we are also see lots of background and small character in the middle. If you wanted to compare it with the shots that we saw earlier, for example, this one, you know, here we see a long shot, close up or close shot of the knob, and you know, this is a close up of father's face and close shot of the gun inside it, so you're looking at a prop. And this is slightly wider because you are seeing the background. You're also looking at the window behind Neil, right? So you can see a lot of environment in this scene, and you can actually discuss how environment is adding to the impact of a situation. So it just says that when something does not look normal, it turns on the intruder alarm in mind, and that intruder alarm creates an element of surprise in the mind, especially by the time you look at frame 2 and you realize that surprise or departure from expectation is experienced, right? So that experience actually makes you creates the feeling of laughter. And it said that the mind actually uses the templates that it has for differentiating this, you know, that something does not look normal. And then when uncertainty is resolved, laughter is experienced. So it says that when you feel uncertain or when your brain feels that something is different, a false alarm goes on in your mind, but when it is resolved, it's resolved through playful humor. So intruder alarm actually switches off, right? So when the intruder alarm switches off, it does not prompt you for flight or fright. You're not scared. You are just laughing from beginning to end. Okay. It's called playful humor because you learn that the mind learns that it was a false alarm. He says that humor is bizarre, but it is enjoyable. Any comment? Okay. It says that what happens, why humor might have positive effect. Humor has positive effect and generates positive feelings, because people want to get away from physical stress. It takes you away from physical stress. It feels good. So humor is felt good. Pleasant feelings come to the mind as a relief, because which means that the feelings that you were going through by looking at all of these different images, the element of fright, emotion, or feeling of fright disappear, and they are replaced by pleasant feelings. So emotion is constantly changing while watching humorous things. The change in frame actually gives your mind a relief, and that's it's incongruous for both child laughs and also grown-ups, and anybody can laugh at humorous situations. Okay, so feel good theory, or smile theory, or humor theory, or false alarm theory actually refer to uncertain situations and resolution of those uncertain situations in a form that a feeling of fright is replaced by a feeling of laughter. Here, he is trying to discuss laughter. He says the laughter danger gives a warning cry. When you look at first one, the danger gives a warning cry. And by the time you look at the second part, that warning cry disappears. So these are in case of humor, your brain actually needs two signals. Signal one refers to the warning cry, and signal two refers to the resolution, right? To the resolution, and replaces the warning cry with laughter, right? So false alarm goes off at the time. The minute you learn it was false alarm, that false alarm disappears. In the wild echoing of laughter of others is functional because it amplifies the signal and disperses it, right? So laughter, he says, is infectious. So if you find a lot of people sitting at one place and watching these things together, you can see that people can laugh together. Uncertainty is resolved when intruder alarm goes off, false alarm goes off, and that's what makes you laugh. So if somebody wanted to attack the laughter theory, so Max Sutherland actually attacked his theory himself, right? So this far he has explained laughter, incongruity in laughter, manipulation of situations, and interpretation and reinterpretation of situations. Now he is trying to attack his theory himself in this part. He's saying that if the laughter is about change in interpretation of one frame to the other, then what about people who are not normal and they are also laughing, because people who are not normal are not experiencing false alarm, right? So he's saying, then why are they laughing and giggling? He's just trying to explain the difference between false alarm theory or humor theory And then he tries to say that people who are patient who suffer from something like pain, is a symbolia, etc., they can also giggle or laugh, right? Because, but then he tries to explain it through brain damage kind of thing, because brain damage disconnects the signal between the parts of brain, because he says that for giggling and laughing and for interpreting and reinterpreting, we actually use right brain to interpret these situations. And people who are not normal, they cannot register their experiences of surprise or interpretation and reinterpretation. So their brain is, their brain interprets even pain as something funny. So he's saying that patients suffering from pain is a symbolia can actually giggle because their brain does not tell them or reinterpret laughter and laughter. Something painful does not appear as potential threat to the people suffering from painism, asymbolia, right? So that is why they do not realize these as threatening, and they can still giggle. Okay. He says that humor turns attention on how it is related to intruder alarm and the triggering of brain wave with alert signals. These alert signals continue appearing one after the other, and that's why they make you laugh. In the end, he says that the situations that we were seeing here, like frame 1 shows threat and frame 2 shows resolution of threat in the form of surprise, he says these changes in frames actually refer to reward circuits, right? Because frame 1 was referring to one situation and frame 2 was referring to another situation. So reward circuits actually can also trigger humor. These reward circuits can be associated with other things as well, like people can feel happy or pleased when they look at a happy face, or even the sight of money can give this feeling of reward and can result in laughter. Okay, so but in case of humor, it's the incongruity or the aha part in incongruity that activates a mild degree of reward and pleasure circuits. So he's just saying that the situations that we have seen and the situations that refer to change in interpretation and reinterpretations are actually about reward and pleasure associated with each other. So this reward feeling, or as Canary locks Tom in the cage, is a kind of reward for Tom and Jerry, for Jerry and Canary, who have partnered to punish Tom in that particular situation. So you are saying that by teaming up, they are getting rewards of whatever efforts we are seeing there. So playful humor is there, false alarm is there, and the false alarm goes on and off. So we can say that as the false alarm goes on and goes off, these impact the dual impact activation of these circuits results in emotional uplifting effect we get from humor. It's written right at the end here. So he's just saying that these two frames together create impact activation. In case of Tom and Jerry, this is a never-ending series of never-ending series of frames that you can say have a very strong impact. So impact activation enhances because frequency of interpretation and reinterpretation and manipulation of situations is pretty higher in this case, right? So this is one situation, and you can see manipulation of these are also actually adding to the see this kind of change to the normal form is also very funny, because most of Tom's body still looks normal, but his mouth does not look normal anymore. In fact, it's looking like it changed its form because Tom had tried to enter through the hole, and when he shakes his head, he becomes normal again. Just see, right? So this kind of images are constantly, making you laugh, because even the change in form was not normal. A cat normally will not change its form by hitting against something. What we are seeing here is beyond normal, or that's why I'm saying that the kind of images that we see, and Tom's face always changes, even when he's hit here, when the bird locks him. In all these situations, we do see that Tom's face is constantly changing, here again. So this image is again not normal, because Tom's face has changed. His face changes according to the shape of the objects that hit him normally. If he's entering the hole, the shape changes according to the hole. Like whatever form the hole would give it, it changes accordingly. And right now, the object that hit his face looked like a plate form of thing. So you can see that the face has changed accordingly, right? So this kind of changes in terms of form are quite common and quite normal in Tom and Jerry. So you can say that Tom and Jerry is doing a lot of things that are quite expected. It's not just the manipulation of situation, it's also about the manipulation of form. Because right now, when Tom's face is hit with the plate or with the lower lid of the cage, you can say that the form of Tom's face changes according to the object that hit his face, right? So even this sort of action is quite unexpected, right? So change in form, change in situation, change in action are various things that make one laugh in case of Tom and Jerry, because this is the kind of thing that happens with a clock. In old times, people used to have this kind of clocks. Like a bird would come out of the clock when at every hour. In case of Tom and Jerry, we are looking at changes in not just situations or frames, but also changes in form and many other things that make it quite funny and quite interesting. So it says that impact activation of these circuits results in emotional uplifting effect. So you can say that Tom and Jerry, as a series of events or as a series of images or situations, is leading to uplifting effect or humor. So in the end, it says that A feel-good experience is something that humor situations offer us in media. They trigger attention, and fear is an emotion that is indispensable for survival. While humor is an emotion, is emotional chaos remembered in tranquility, that if you had seen funny situations, you would always remember them later, and you would even laugh at them when those situations has disappeared. So you can agree or disagree with what Hannah Arendt or James Thurber are saying in the end. Any comments on what Max Sutherland discussed in this article on false alarm theory, on any question on intruder alarm, manipulation of situation, reinterpretation of frames, or frames that keep appearing in funny stories or funny films, etc. Any comment on anything? Can you hear me? I hope you are hearing me.
Miss, there's a TV show called The Office. So in Tom and Jerry we see a lot of long shots. I think I'm not well versed in TV. लेकिन उसके अंदर I think they use the element of close-ups or dramatic zooms भी करते हैं वो to I think add to the humor.
Okay. Yes, I'm sure that's why I said that I just wanted to. It's not essential that all animation films do what Tom and Jerry was doing. What I meant that I was just trying to see what Tom and Jerry was doing, and it's old, but it's definitely about more than like see the contrast part here. By contrast, I mean as like when here, where did it go? This as he comes out. By contrast, I mean the difference in sizes. Because as Tom is crossing Jerry's home or his door, or you can see that Jerry looks tiny, while Tom looks really big here. Contrast in sizes. For example, this bird is so small and Jerry is so big, and then right now, he has only. It looks like he has too many hands and feet in this particular image, though the number would be just it is just whatever it is as real. So I'm saying that you can see the difference in size. A big office, probably because they are focusing on persons